All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for coming in this afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to the Skippers Press Conference at the Newport stopover of the Volvo Ocean Race. My name's Peter Rush, and without further ado, let's welcome up our skippers, our 7 skippers. We'll start with Xabi Fernandez of Mapfre, the overall leader of the race. Xabi. Charles Quadrelier, Dongfeng Race Team. Bauer Becking, Team Brunel. Sinian Tianpont, Team Aksonobo. With Charlie Enright, Vestas 11th Hour Racing. David Witt, SHK Scallywag. And D. Kafari, Turn the Tide on Plastic. All right, thank you. Thank you all for taking the time to spend a little bit of time with us. Charlie, I'm going to start with you. It's your hometown stopover here in Newport. There's a lot of pressures in the hometown. What's it been like being in Newport the last couple of weeks for you?
Well, I think there's more commitments than there is pressure. I think I'd say that. Talking to my wife, she said she sees just about as much as me as she does when I'm sailing a leg. So it's been pretty busy. We have an opportunity tomorrow to go out there and get a good result in front of our home crowd and a good group of supporters. This is a stop that's important to both our sponsors, so it'd be great to have a good result and get out of here in what's a shorter leg, somewhere towards the front of the fleet.
Now, looking at things on the water, your team's had some challenges in this race that you've had to overcome. We've got 3 legs remaining. What's the goal for Vestas 11th Hour Racing over these last few weeks?
Well, I think to win all the legs. I think every time we push off on the dock, and that's the goal. But more than that, we try to look at things kind of microscopically. So it's about, the next tack, the next decision, and then if you do all those little things right, hopefully it amounts to a good result. We're not where we'd like to be, certainly on the overall leaderboard, and I don't think the leaderboard reflects how well we sailed throughout the course of the race when we've been out there. But we are where we are, and we'll, keep trying to reach the top.
All right. Well, the leaderboard is very close. There's just 3 points separating Mapfre in first place from second place with Dongfeng. A late charge by Bauer Becking and Team Brunel. You're in range as well. So we'll maybe focus for a moment or two with the leading skippers here. Xabi, you started the race very strong. The last few legs, you've needed the final hours to make these sort of maybe unexpected comebacks to get the points on the board. You've got the overall lead now, but the way you've done it, does that give you any concern heading into these final 3 legs?
Well, I don't think so. I think it's always good to be in the lead and just shows that things are being done good. Of course, it's tough and it's more and more difficult every leg because everyone is much more even. And I think, I don't know, we of course, we didn't win the last leg as we wish, but we take it anyway. And of course, we analyze, and I think, we shouldn't be, thinking we are not doing the things right to be able to win the next one. So, we will start strong and push hard to win the next leg.
All right. Charles, for you, if we look on the positive side, just a few points off of the lead. If you take the other view, you've beaten Mapfre, I think it's in 2 of the 7 point-scoring legs. You've got 3 legs left. There's a lot of points on the table. Can you beat them enough in the legs that are left to overhaul them and win the race?
We have no choice if we want to stay ahead. Brunel is doing a fantastic comeback also, and I know Bo is a good finisher from the last race. So no, we have no choice. We have to beat them, but of course it's difficult, and it's not only about Mapfre and Brunel. As Xabi said, the fleet is very even, and everybody is doing a good job now and good speed, and it's much more complicated to be ahead. And so it's going to be a big challenge, but we are ready for that, and of course we are going to fight.
All right, Bauer, there's some people around who are saying this is a race now between the 2 red boats. What do you say about that?
Well, we just wait till in Cardiff. I think our objective is quite obvious. We have to beat the 2 red buses. If not, then there's no chance for an overall win for us. So that's the first objective, and of course it will be nice to be first in there 6th and 7th, because then it will be really game on for the last 2 legs.
Do you feel confident that there's a real path to victory for you guys still in this race?
Yeah, I think we made huge steps. I think everybody probably agrees. At the beginning we weren't that good. I think from Hong Kong going to Auckland, it was the first time actually that we started becoming happy as a team. We had a horrible result, but that's another thing. That's again how sailing goes. But I think just basically from Auckland till here, we sailed excellent. And just one of the things as well, when you sail fast, you sail smarter as well, because everything what you do, you can probably, even when you make a mistake, you can still cover it up with speed.
Thank you. Dee, this next leg is taking you back to the UK. It's a sort of homecoming for you. It's a transatlantic crossing. Your previous races, you've spent enough time in the Atlantic. What kind of things can we expect on this leg? What are the challenges that come from a transatlantic at this time of year in the spring?
Well, when you leave Newport and you're heading to Cardiff, it's an ice skate to keep us south, keep us out of trouble. And the North Atlantic can be just as treacherous as any other ocean. And we know that we've got a good departure out of here, but some complex weather ahead. And I'm sure the UK is not going to make it an easy arrival. So the test will be there.
All right. Okay, thank you, Dee. David, you've been able to rally your team over the last few weeks from one of the most difficult circumstances any of us could imagine. Your crew put on a brave performance on the leg here into Newport. What's made you most proud over the last few weeks of your Scallywag team?
Not the team manager getting arrested on shore, so it certainly wasn't that. Although I will say that if there wasn't a Scallywag involved in that somewhere, we would have been extremely disappointed. No, well, I think just extremely proud of everybody, the way, I think not just our team, but, everybody in the race. I think it was pretty hard on everybody, not just us. And I think the way everyone rallied, behind everyone and helped us and helped everyone, I think that's a pretty special thing. That's probably the thing we're most proud of.
All right, thank you. Simeon, there's a nice setup now between yourself and Bauer sitting beside you, the two Dutch skippers in the race. There are a couple of points ahead of you on the overall leaderboard. You have a bit of an advantage in the import race series. You've described Bauer before as your hero, but how much do you want to beat him going forward into these last few legs?
Yeah, even for that reason, even more I want to beat him, of course. I mean, the boys are always joking on our boat. This is not the Volvo Ocean Race, it's a Dutch match race championship around the world. And I think it's a luxury, and it says something about our country, where we can have two entries and how crazy we are for this event, but for sailing in general. And and in some ways we got the pressure to give everything we got, but I think we like that. Everyone in the team is unbelievable hungry to get onto that podium, and I think Brunel has the fear that they can only lose it, right? So I'd rather be in my spot at the moment and keep fighting hard and give everything we can, and that's what makes us proud in the past, and we have a good confidence over the last 4 legs. I mean, basically the top 4 boats on the leaderboard had an equal amount of points from Melbourne on, so it says something. What Xabi already mentioned as well is that the racing is unbelievable close.
All right, thank you. Well, certainly we'll look forward to opening it up to questions from the floor right now. If you could wait for a microphone, we will bring you a microphone so that the TVs can pick up the audio, and if you could please say who you're with, that would be fantastic. Just at the front here. Please. You have a microphone coming? Thanks.
Dan Nerney from Sail Newport. Question to you all here. I've seen the trailer of the visions of what the next edition of the Volvo Ocean Race will be, where you've got foils. Now, the fellow in the trailer was saying, these boats will be capable of 40 knots plus. And when I looked at that, I thought, my God, who would want to be doing 40 knots through the Southern Ocean? Does that frighten any of you?
Charles, we'll go to you. How does 40 knots in the Southern Ocean sound?
So we are going to multi-hull. That's a good news. Now 40 knots with, I've been sailing on the Mocha 60 and foiling boat, and they don't go to 40 knots, but they can go very quickly with an average speed of 28, 30, 33 knots, which is quite fast on reaching, on very tight reaching. So I know I'm not afraid, but I know it's going to be very uncomfortable and really a tough race. But I like this boat. They are much more sexy than the one we are using now, so it's good news.
Any other questions from our audience just now? Dave Reed?
Dave Reed with Sailing World Magazine. So between Xabi and Charles, everyone talks about motoring the boats. Do you guys feel like you're on an even playing field in terms of motoring the boat? And do you have how many much more do you have to get out of these?
Well, modding is the most difficult thing, I guess, in communication with navigator, and he tells us what he wants us to do, and then we try to do in the best way, which is not always the best for both of us, but we have some arguments, which is fine. But I think the boat has been, though the race has been so close the whole way from Alicante that we have optimized so much. I don't think we have too much left. We have a little bit. I'm not going to tell you, but yeah, I think these boats are very close to be, very hard to sail better.
Charles, do you feel now within the fleet that everybody has the same gears and the same, very similar speeds and wind conditions, or is there still areas where people show differences?
Well, I think there is still some difference, but I think at the start of the race we were nearly always a faster boat, and now we have some good moment, but there is some of the boat who have very high speed, and we try to study why and understand why, but no, it's quite difficult to be, and sometimes you are fast, and a few hours after the guy is faster than you, and nothing has changed, and you don't know why. So it's really, you can see that the sailors are really good on each boat, because each time you go faster than someone, is going to see it on the IS and is going to try to find solution, and most of the time they find one, and you have to find a new solution to go faster. So it's really difficult, but yeah, the speed is really important as Sabo, and it's quite difficult now to go faster than the other one, for sure.
David, you came into this fleet and this race fairly late. It was one of the things you talked about, learning how to mode the boat and learning how to get the most out of it. Where do you think you sit now in comparison to the rest of the teams?
Oh, well, the scoreboard probably indicates who modes the boats the best and who does it the worst, I would say. But, everyone's obviously capable of winning a leg in the right situation, and I think it's probably fair to say that I think there's a couple of modes I actually think we're the fastest, but there's certainly quite a few modes where we're right at the bottom. So, consistency wins the race like this, and that's why the two guys in red shirts are at that end, and that's why I'm sitting down here.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm Vern Penner from Annapolis, writing for occasional pieces for Spin Sheet magazine. And I've chosen Annapolis by my own will, not certainly because I was born there, but most Annapolitans like to think of Annapolis as the sailing capital of the East Coast, but coming from up here, I must say that certainly Newport has taken the Volvo Ocean Race to a whole new level, and I'd like your comments on that. And perhaps also, Charlie, if you would describe how you guys got from the Falklands to Italia with a telephone pole or a light pole.
Well, I mean, Charlie, you may want to comment on the sailing capital of the East Coast. I'll let you handle that one, and then talk a bit more about your jury rig solution.
I think that's clearly a two-part question, and I think that as far as being the sailing capital of the world goes, I think I'm biased, so you probably don't want my opinion. I think we're sitting here in it. I think that, what would really speak to it is if everybody up here agreed with me. But, I definitely think that being a big event like this in a small sailing town is a great thing for the race, certainly. It's cool to walk around town. I'm sure you guys would agree, and have everybody enthused, and know what's going on. That's a special thing. I've been to Annapolis. It's not the greatest place to sail in the summer, but it's pretty nice during the shoulder seasons. I'll give you that. And as far as the Falklands go, I mean, it was a long trudge to get there, and it was actually a lamp post, not a telephone pole. But it took a lot of work, from the guys that were down there to get the thing ready to receive sails and take halyards and, fit the step and nothing short of miraculous, really. I mean, the boat went over 14 and a half knots during the delivery. It's not bad. And it had the capability, I think it had 1,350 liters of diesel when we filled up all the ballast tanks, and we were able to get there on time. It's miraculous that we started the leg on time, and it was great to be able to finish here, on a good note.
Fantastic. Any other questions from the floor? Dave again?
I guess I'll keep going. So this was a similar question to Bowie that, as you say, you guys started not so good. What changes to even just the way you sail a boat or even to the structure of the team did you make to keep that progress going to where you are today?
Well, I think everybody has to remember it was 4 days before the race started. It was the first time we sailed as a team together. And we just know that's not very handy. We thought we would have overcome quite a bit of these, the downtime, but the reality was very hard. We know that other boats were just way better than us. And of course, you start looking at yourself and you start speaking with the team. I think it's still, even though we thought we were going all right, because the leg to Melbourne, I was really concerned just if we actually could handle this as a team. So when the first storm came through, we were just sailing like puppies over there, because just keep it safe, guys, because we just knew. And I think that was one of my big fears. If we would have dropped the rig or whatever in that leg, it would have been over for Brunel, because we just don't have the financial support what we would have wished. It's great. We are here, and we will finish the race. But if we would have a really breakage early on, we would have been out of the race at that stage. So and I think just the way how that leg went, in the end we started trusting each other more. Because that's, I think, one of the big things. If you are off watch, you still have to remember the other guys and girls have to be on watch, and you have to try to close your eyes. So I think halfway that leg, we actually started really trusting each other, and I think that resulted as well in the longest distance in 24 hours. So it's a process, and like what I said before, in Hong Kong, we really had a feeling now we're going better. And I think I have to say as well, I think we're the only team who's having a mental coach. We learned a lot in the last race, that actually a person like that can just step in as an outsider and just specifically just focusing on the communication, because I think communication is just such a huge part of going faster. And having that, if you're going slow, that you actually can talk about it in a way that you actually can find a solution. And in that sense, she has been doing a tremendous job. And I think even like guys like Peter Burling, who wasn't used to that, they just all of a sudden start saying, holy smoke, that's actually a really good thing. And I think that way we just started building up the team. And the result wasn't there in Auckland, but we knew we were going faster. And we can just see it on our numbers. If we look at the numbers at the beginning of the race, we were lucky if we could reach 96% compared to the numbers what we had from the last race. And now we're all the time 100 and growing. And I think that's one of the things. We have a couple of really smart people. And I think that's one of as well. It's a big change, the new generation. And I think especially America's Cup sailors, they approach it differently than I have been approaching it in the past. And I've learned a heck of a lot of these guys as well. And I think they learned a heck of a lot from myself and a guy like KP, because there's some other parts of ocean racing what's really important as well, and that's to arrive safely.
Thanks.
So have you given much more of the sailing to Burling and company? Have you stepped back a little bit from the actually sailing the boat?
No, I haven't stepped back, but we let Pete and Carl run the speed team, like how we call it, even that we're sailing because we sail in opposite watches. But if there are things where we can go faster, of course the ears are wide open, and sometimes you say, well, this is not the right thing. That's easy as well, and I think they are smart enough to see as well, because they are number guys as well. If you just see the comparison between a cup team and ours, we're just miles behind in that sense. And there's some other teams who are way better sorted than us, but still, they are smart cookies, and it's always like, but they're always looking for edges. How can we go faster? Even a tiny little thing, a sheet lays in the wrong place, they're looking for the details, because in the cup it's way more about the details where they make the gains. But I think that just helps us in general, because we just keep making steps. And that's one of the advantages when you start late, because the learning curve is relatively way bigger than from the guys and girls who have been sailing already a year before the race, because they're already really high up there. And we've been just growing. In the meantime, you start looking how other people are sailing their boats, and then it's a bit of copy-paste sometimes, and then just step that little bit of extra gears up. So, yeah, I'm really confident for the remainder of the race.
Dee Bauer was talking a little bit about the team building aspect there, and I wonder if you could reflect back a little bit. You think 8 months ago in Alicante, you had a crew that was perhaps the least experienced. You had a lot of rookies on board. You've taken a lot of these young sailors. You've got them almost all the way around the world now. What have you had to do to achieve that and to bring these sailors with you on this journey?
Well, we started and had the crew selection within 3 weeks, and 2 weeks later I had to be sailing leg zero. So it's been a bit of a baptism of fire for them, but they've grown. They've done it themselves. And as Bauer said, it's really nice when you get them from different backgrounds. So we got Olympic sailors and America's Cup experienced sailors, no experience with the Volvo Ocean Race, but they've transferred a lot of their skills to us. So I'm learning from them as much as they're learning from us, and we're slowly finding our feet and, sailing at the front of the fleet some of the time, which is nice.
All right. Thank you. Do you have any other questions from the floor?
Right here. Excuse me, Cynthia Houston from Elements. I'm from Spin Sheet. I've been reading a lot of blogging where folks are talking about there is such a big focus on building a boat that can race fast versus a boat that can protect you from the elements. And I just wanted to get your feedback on that.
Simeon, what's the balance between safety and speed, whether it's in the design and construction of the boat or even the way you guys use these boats?
I think for us, if you feel safe, you want to go faster and you feel more comfortable, and especially in offshore racing, when the boat is safe, you probably you feel good to get that limits and those borders, and get more out of the team, and I think it's a very true element, if the performance of the human crew, they can push a lot further when the boat's capable of it. But I think every boat has its certain limitations and is designed for a certain purpose. And I think we've done 2 editions now with this Volvo 65, and I always say it's more of a rally wagon. It's not an America's Cup boat, where we do 40 minutes races and everything is on engineering limits. These boats are capable of 9 crew or 10 crew, pushing it to the limit, so, and that's what they're designed for. And I think in the future, that's something, to keep in mind. And if we're going to go less crew or same amount of crew, you have to put that in mind and see what actually the crew is capable of, and put your design, fit your design to it.
Thanks, Simeon. We also wanted to get some questions in from our fans on social media. So one of the questions that came in, Xavi, maybe I'll give this one to you. This next leg, will teams be looking to reduce weight? And I'll send it to you because I know on the last leg you sailed with one less. That would have been proportionally less weight. What's the advantage and disadvantage or the trade-offs? Is the boat actually faster with less stackable weight, or is it good to have weight that you can stack?
Well, by the way, Sophie's back. Yes, probably everyone saw here, and she's going to sail with us next leg. So we're going back to full crew, and she didn't do the last leg because she wasn't 100%. And as we have done our team, we have an extra girl, and we decided to go like this. We sail in a boat with 15 tons, pretty much, between the boat crew, or even more. So I don't even know how much weights, and you're talking about less than 100 kilos. I don't know. And we couldn't notice. We were not going much faster than them till the last 5 hours. So I don't think it gave us too much, but maybe it gave us the last 5 hours. I don't know.
It was light winds. All right. Any other questions from the floor? All right. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Just a second.
My name's Diana. I cover technology for a tech trade magazine called CRN, and I'm wondering how recent advances in technology has changed the experience for you. I don't even know if maybe you notice it all the time, but I learned that there's now 5G available on these sailboats, and I learned how the races are streamed live, and I'm wondering how that has changed the experience for you, and if you've noticed more people interested in what you're doing.
Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the media experience, the onboard reporters. Charlie, you take a crew around you all the way around the world whose job isn't to help you sail the boat. He's there to tell the story, to film. Tell us a little bit about what that experience is like, having that fly on the wall, and then the technology that allows that to happen.
You know, it's pretty amazing having a crew, you know, embedded within the team whose job it is just to tell the story. I mean, because there are amazing stories certainly that that happen out there, and the technology, has advanced a great deal, even just since the last race, as far as what we're capable of. I mean, just take for instance the drones. I mean, we experience a lot of things out there that, you know, the person sitting at home on their couch doesn't really get to see, but now with the advancement of the drone technology, I mean, people feel like they're there on the boat with us and they can experience the Southern Ocean for themselves. So I'd say from the last race to this race, the drones are probably the biggest technological advantage, I would say, or excuse me, improvement. But as far as the onboard tech stuff goes and 5G, you lost me. That's probably for a navigator's briefing.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Well, thanks to all of our skippers for taking the time today. Tomorrow we have the Gurney Resorts in Port Race, Newport, in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon, and later this afternoon, I think at 3 o'clock, the Vestas 11th Hour Racing team will be having a media session as well, so you can go down to their team base and spend a little bit more time with Charlie. Thanks a lot to everyone. We will be doing a quick photo call right now before we let you guys go. So photographers up to the front, please. Thank you.